everybody to episode 3 of 8 of Figma in 50 minutes. In today's video, we're going to be going over some of the Figma tools. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so a few of the shortcuts I'm going to talk about is the panning tool, which is pretty important actually. Instead of zooming out and zooming back in places, let's make some changes so we can see us moving. Okay, let's say this is the middle of the screen. So you can hold your middle mouse button, hold it, and then move around, which makes you pan around. Or if you're easy with the keyboard, just hold space and then you can move around. As you can see, this cursor on the screen, this hold button. So yeah, now you can move around once you just move around, and the middle click also works. So yeah, that's that. Then we have two rectangles. I'm going to leave this for now. Then we have the scale. Oh, sorry, scale is over here. Scale, which I'm going to talk about a bit later in other videos, which would be handy, but it's kind of inefficient. So as much as you can, you don't need to use scale. Okay, so yeah, then we have a frame, and slice is just, we don't need to talk about that for now. It's just like that. Okay, frames are basically, there's different types of frames. Well, frames are basically what your design is contained in, unless you don't want it to be in any of these, you're just making something. So let's say if we want to make an app. Okay, so we have some of the phone sizes, like we have the average Android phone or the iPhone 11. Yeah, let's go for, let's say, a Google Pixel 2 XL. So as you can see, it has the frames size. So now if we go to Google and you search what's the dimensions of a Google Pixel XL, it will have these as the dimensions. So it's actually pretty cool. Don't get confused by anything over here. So yeah, and then inside here you can change the background color to black, or add some text inside of it, blah, 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 blah. And so on and so forth. I'll talk about that later on. So that's what frames are. Frames basically contains your stuff, unless you don't want them to be in frames. But they're recommended to be in frames because it gives you better export rate, and also it shows, it has more features later on as well, like scrolling, animations are going to be applied to the frames itself. So yeah, we're going to get onto that later on. So yeah, the shortcut for going to move tool is V. You can click V on the keyboard and then you're in the move tool. If you're clicking on T, let's say T is for text, so if you click now, you can type something. And yeah, and then from T you can go to V, and then other tools as well. So the panning tool is also here. You can also click H for the panning tool if you want, but I think it's better to use the mouse or the keyboard. So yeah, that's that. And then after that we're gonna go to the shapes. It's pretty cool actually. Okay, so now for a rectangle, as you can see over here, it's already pre-made to rectangle. So you can just click R on your keyboard, and then you can do it freely, free-handed. You can draw any shape of a rectangle that you like. Or if you want to go precise and make a square, just hold Shift and then select the area you want. Let's make a pretty decent sized square. So now let's make it even a bit. Let's make it 500. Okay. That's that. Now we have a rectangle, or sorry, a square. So yeah, that's the square. Now you can hold Shift again and resize it to its scale. Basically, it doesn't go out of the scale. If I let go of Shift now, it's like that. Okay, now it's out of control. Okay, so now if let's say if I make this as width of 800, let's say, and then if I hold Shift now, it would keep its aspect ratio and then go down as a rectangle. So that's pretty cool. Alright, then the simple tools around here is like you can rotate, and okay, rotation is basically, you can do free-handed rotation. Ooh. Okay, you can do free-handed rotation, or you can hold Shift and then it will snap to the basic degrees, like let's say 90, 180, 270, and 360. And you can do other stuff in between, of course. Or you can automatically just manually just come over here. Let's say if I wanted 90 degrees, there you go. 45 degrees, there you go. Alright, and then the X and Y you can change automatically over here. Let's say I want to make it a round number. Let's make it 100. Let's move it there. Let's make it -700. Alright, cool. That's cool. Alright, and once you unclick this, let's say, if you don't want, if I change anything now, if I change it to 600, as you can see, I changed the width, but also the height also followed. We don't want that. If you don't want that, if you want that, keep this on. If not, just enable it. And now if I change this to 800, the height shouldn't follow. Yeah, as you can see, the height didn't follow. Let's bring this back. This is good. Okay, another cool thing is, as you can see these circles over here, once you hover over them and you drag them, either corner radius or also in CSS known as border radius. So whatever you want, you can just have however much you want. This looks more like a capsule, but now, all right, yeah, that's the efficient, let's say efficient way. And then you can come over here and do the same thing. You can just increment by tens or drag it and just make it as round as possible, or as round as you want actually. So yeah, that's about it I think for this rectangle tool. And oh yeah, I forgot a few of the things over here. We have some strokes. Okay, let's say we want a thick stroke over here, and we can have, let's change the color of it actually. Let's change it to a nice tint of light blue. Yeah, that's a nice blue. Okay, so we're going to change that and then change that to black, let's say. Okay, so now we have that. Here, if you enable and disable this, it will just, the fill is basically the black inside. You can disable it, or you can even remove it if you don't like it. And then you can set the opacity from here, let's say 50%. Now it's a 50% opacity. So that's cool. And yeah, now we can experiment a little bit with linear. As you can see, as I put in linear, it gives me 100 to 0%. So if I change this to red, as you can see, it has a nice tint of red in it. Let's change this to blue. Ooh, that's not bad. It's not that good. But yeah, you can just increase the percentage and it will look pretty awesome sometimes, most of the times, depending if you want your design. So yeah, let's just bring that back. Let's try radial. As you can see, I'm not the biggest fan of radial because it doesn't seem that professional. Neither am I angular. It's angular okay for some of the things that you, but not all the things. And then we have diamond, again, sort of like radial, and the image. You can just drag and drop an image right over here, or choose an image, and you can do some alterations to the image, which we're doing later on in the later videos. Let's bring that back to our black. Okay, so now we have the stroke, as I said before. You can disable it again, opacity, all the stuff. But now we have a few extra things. We have the center, which would put our stroke in the middle of, not inside, not outside, in the center of it. So yeah, that's that. And then we have the outside, which would put the border radius outside of the box. And we have inside, which is initially set to that, which it's inside the box. So then we have these three buttons. You can click those, and then the cap. Let's say if I have a line. Let's say I have a line. We'll talk about that later as well. So here, the cap, let's make it a bit thicker. As you can see, over here, it's not rounded, right? It's just a flat line. Sometimes you want it to be rounded so it connects well with other things. So we just click here. We can click round, square. It's already basically a square. Line arrow, also, whoa, that looks cool. Triangle arrow, many more stuff. And then you have a round. As you can see here, let's make a difference thing between them. So yeah, that's none, that has nothing, and this is rounded. So yeah, and then we have some joints, which basically means if I make a line connected to another line like that, the joint, you can change it. You can change it to round, square. It looks pretty weird. Yeah, you can change it to round, square, basically all the stuff above. And you can have some gaps in between, let's say 10 and 10. So yeah, as you can see here, it looks kind of weird. You can go ahead and mess around with it as much as you like, actually. I'm just showing you a few examples. As you can see, okay, that looks weird. Alright, yeah, that's the basics of that line. And how to get the line, just click L on the keyboard and create a line. Or yeah, that's basically a line. And then you can, once you come over any of these things, you can increment it by holding Shift and clicking up arrow. Up arrow, let's say if I hold on the X, it will increment by 10. You can change these later on, but I recommend working in tens. And that applies to anything actually. So here, if I do it with the stroke, sorry. With the stroke, this happens. You just, it looks like a square now, or a rectangle. So yeah, if you can increment it by tens. Alright, so that's that. And everything, it applies to everything. Alright, cool. So we can delete that, and hopefully our box is still here. So the line was L, and then Shift L is a line arrow. So if I do that, you can see instead of what? Oh yeah, okay, it's very small because we're working on a very large scale. That's why. As you can see, it's a line arrow. All right. So yeah, that's basically that. We have the rectangles. Okay, and then we have the ellipse, which you can do by just clicking O on the keyboard, or you can just come over here if it's easier for you, just clicking on the ellipse, and it will draw ellipse. As you can, I told you guys before that if you hold Shift, it will do it with an aspect ratio, but if you let go, it makes like an oval shape or an egg shape, whatever. If that's what your design needs, then it's pretty cool. And then we have some of the arcs. Let's say if you want to make a Pac-Man, moving Pac-Man, wagga wagga wagga. So yeah, that's, or want to make a pizza for any reason actually. So yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. Or you want to make an animation of a stopwatch or time flying by. So yeah, that's pretty handy. All right, then we have polygon. This is also interesting. So polygon right now it's not really a polygon. It's just a triangle. Polygon means any polygon, any sides, right? So what we're going to do, the initial one, because the minimum polygon size is 3. So this is 3. Now you can change it you can change the radius. That's a given. It looks like a circle now. Now you can change the count. Let's say if as you can see here, I'm going, whoa, look at that. That's beautiful. All right, you can change it from here as well. Okay, so let's say 4, the square given, 5, pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon, and even way more than that. Like I think up to 60. Yeah, up to 60. That's when it actually looks like a circle. You wouldn't be able to basically tell the difference between a circle and that. So yeah, I don't see a point in you needing to do that actually. So yeah, that's the polygon. Then we have a star. Normally you use these for ratings, like ratings in restaurant apps or just something like that. Give them border radius again, and also you can just change the ratio and you can make it like that. That's not a star anymore. You can make it as cool as you like, depending on your design. If you're working on that, like a sea-themed restaurant app, you can use that like a starfish. You can make it look like a starfish. Oh yeah, many of that. And then we have the place image, Control Shift K. So here, if I do Control Shift K, actually place images is basically when you have images selected, it would be able to paste your images over here. So yeah, and that's that. And then we have the pen tool, which you can just play around with. Okay, let me explain a bit about stuff. Okay, so if I click one point to another point, it just draws a normal line, right? But now if we want to make it curved, just click a point and just drag anywhere you like. So as you can see here, it's a cool shape. And then you can keep continuing on with the curved shapes, and somehow you'll get to this mess that I made. You can make it like your signature or something. Alright, yeah. So that's the pen tool for you. And then you can use the pen tools to create polygons, or you can actually use sometimes depending on what I'm doing, I sometimes use the pen tool for drawing polygons. If I want a very specific one and I have the measurements already in my head, or I'm doing it there, then yeah, you can create a polygon. Or you can just click R and just drag the size, which is also equally the same basically. Then we have the pencil. You can do that by doing Shift P, and P is just for the normal pen tool, and the Shift P is just freehand. So basically, if I do anything now, if I draw like a car, this is gonna be bad because I'm drawing on a mouse. All right, so let's say that's a car. Okay, now it will give you it as vector. So whatever you want to do with it, if you want to take some notes or you want to draw a signature, it would look cool. If you want it to be a virtual signature that you want to use later on. So that's my signature, it's a car now. All right, yeah. So that's the pen tool for you. And then we have the text tool. And the text tool is basically just, you can change a bunch of things. So let's type something inside of it. Hi, my name is Arsham. And I am 15 years old. Alright, so that's the text I want to edit, let's say. I kind of like it right now, but whatever you want, you can change it. Let's say if you want to change it to Arial. I don't have Arial. Just any other font. You can pick any of the fonts. You can download the fonts. I'll teach you guys later how to download fonts. And let's say if I want, what is it? Brie Serif. Doesn't look that bad. Doesn't fit my style, but it doesn't look that bad. Let's go back to Montserrat. I like Montserrat. So because I have many other things. So if you download it, you'll have all these text styles. Black, which is completely field, all this stuff. You can just click here and just make it italic if you like, and you can make the font size bigger. Holding shift and up arrow also works, or you can change it manually if you need to. Also handy. And then we have letter spacing between each other. You can do negative, you can go backwards, or you can do like a very 3D effect, or very abstract, and do like some of the movies where they space every letter apart from each other. So yeah, then you have line height, which basically, if you have multiple lines, let's just split this into multiple. Let's bring this back. This is very annoying. No, go back. Okay, let's split these into 2 lines. Okay, now if I select them and then add line height to it, as you can see, it just gives it line height. Very simple. Then you have this. This is the bottom line height. This is line height to the top and bottom, and this one is just to the bottom. And then we have justify, left, and then box. Okay, now we can go left. You can do these things, but normally if you're very good at it, you can do Control Alt L, pretty far, but still it's okay. So you can do that, and you can do center in the middle, down, left, right, and there's more options here, which I don't need really to go over, because unless you need to. If you need to, then you have decoration. Let's say you want strike throughs, it's cool for that. Justification, left, right, center, padding, indent. You can also add some of this stuff. It indents it for you. And you can do uppercasing, like all of it uppercase, all lowercase, camel casing, small caps, or all caps. And then there's many more things which are not really that important. Alright, I think we're reaching to the end of the episode. Sorry this took a while, and yeah, I hope you have a better understanding of some of the things we are going to use later on. So yeah, so this video was just basically introducing you guys to the Figma tools. In the next episode, we are going to be going over some sample design mockups. So yeah, sample design mockups, basically just getting an image from Google and converting that into a design. So yeah, bye bye.